Hey everyone, welcome back to Teenager Therapy. I'm Gael.
I'm Thomas.
I'm Isaac.
I'm Mark.
I'm Kayla.
And welcome back to the podcast, the 200th episode actually.
Woo!
Oh my god.
Yay.
So many episodes.
I know, which is so funny. I feel like even 200 episodes in, we're still like, there's so much to figure out. I see podcasts that have like 2 episodes in and their audio is like amazing.
Oh shit.
Yeah. You know how you could really tell when audio is good? Is
What?
if you could listen to it in the car and it sounds good.
Can we listen to this in the car?
If you listen to Teenager Therapy in the car, it like sometimes it's good, sometimes it's really bad. Like it's really a hit or miss. So
Just
Yeah.
put on your headphones.
Just maybe 100 more episodes and we'll
yeah,
figure
maybe
it
in
out.
100 we'll finally have like consistent audio. We won't hurt your ears when we speak too loud because the mics are spiking. If you're new, it's not that bad. We're like super interesting and stuff. So
Yeah,
Yes.
give us a chance.
please give us
Hi.
a chance.
Yeah.
Podcasting is hard. It's a hard thing. And we're trying to grow. I mean, obviously we're like trying to grow and like be better all the time, which is actually what this episode is about. It's all about growth. Letting go of our ego, choosing to grow or choosing not to grow, which is probably like the more common choice that a lot of people make. I feel like throughout this podcast, the main theme has always just been about growth. I mean, if you look at us when we were 15, I could have swore we were saying some really interesting like stuff. But then now looking back, you're like, oh my God, we were so wrong about so many things. But a lot of it was actually good stuff. So it's been a long journey, and I wanted to talk about growth because I feel like it's one of those things that it's an interesting perspective because like 2 episodes ago, we did an episode about being friends with your ex, or maybe it was the hookup culture last episode about, casual flings versus being in a relationship. And one of the things that we mentioned in that episode was just about taking time to not be in a relationship so you could grow on your own and figure out how to be alone and all that. And I think that's a really interesting topic because there's kind of like a divide. You're either on the side of you have to figure it out on your own. It's like up to you to really do it. And like being in a relationship can kind of mess with you and not give you the chance to grow and figure yourself out. But then there's also another perspective that's like relationships, like a good relationship is when you both help each other grow, because growth doesn't have to be alone, and it could be with a community and like having people around you that push you to grow is even more impactful. So I'm curious what side you're on. I mean, there's different things. Obviously, like there's both like relationships, there's friendships, there's like different types of growth that you could go through together. It doesn't necessarily mean like single or not single. It could also be like with friends, without friends, all that.
Okay. Here's my take. I think that you can grow in relationships. However, in a lot of cases, relationships hinder someone's growth. From what I can see, in like all my friends' relationships and stuff, they just tend to get stuck as like the person they are, because they're like the way they love is kind of unhealthy. You know what I mean?
Okay, give me some examples.
Sometimes it's not exactly love. It's just like infatuation, I feel.
Right.
In a lot of young relationships, like you're not actually in love with the person. You're in love with the idea, and they get so caught up in that and they don't realize it. So it's not healthy because then they have like these expectations and they're let down every single time. And also it just causes like disputes and like ego problems. Like, no, like I'm doing everything I can. No, you're not. And it's just this back and
In
forth
the
thing.
relationship.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think it really all just comes down to like, if it is a healthy relationship, then I think you can grow. But I also think that people who have been in relationships their entire life and haven't given themselves the time to be single, I feel like you're not growing by yourself. And I feel like growing by yourself is a necessary part of like finding out who you are and stuff.
Yeah. See, that's the perspective that I think a lot of people have too. It's the like you need to do it by yourself. Like it's good to grow by community, but there's also like it's a necessity that you also do it yourself.
Yeah, knowing you can be by yourself and be your own person, because in relationships you're now attached to that person. Like you're not just yourself, part of you, and they are also part of yourself. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you guys think?
I tend to do better in communities. Like for school, for example, um I usually do a lot better turning all my assignments on time. Um Give better input, actually put more effort in the assignments when I do it in like a group as opposed to by myself. Like let's say online classes, I was on my own for the most part. And because of that I did get like lazy with the work, or I wasn't even gonna be like turning in the work and all of that. Or let's say I'm in a relationship, I usually do better when it comes to schoolwork. Just because I have a reason to do better. I have an excuse to hang out with the person. I would like like study with the person,
Right.
make excuses to see them, stay up late to on FaceTime calls to do homework with them. I usually wouldn't do that if I wasn't in the relationship.
That's interesting. But that's also, I think, why, like what Thomas is saying is like a valid like critique of, well, if is that just you doing it for the other person, or are you also doing it for yourself?
I'm doing it for the other person.
Okay.
Loud and proud.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
No, it's true.
That's
Like,
good.
I know that I am.
And what do you think? There's something wrong with that? Because maybe there isn't to you.
No, there is.
You think so? Why?
Yeah, I'm not in a relationship right now, and because of that, I don't think my work is up to my standards.
And you don't take care of yourself.
up to the same standards as it was when I was in a relationship.
Because you
And-
can't grow on your own. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because I can grow on my own. Possibly, I think so. It comes down to like motivation. When I'm in a relationship, when I do have a lifelong or a potential lifelong partner, I want to be better because of the person. I want to be the person that they picture as the one for them. And to me,
Right.
that's a person that's always on their A game, that's productive, that's effective, that can take care of them, all that.
Interesting.
But when I'm like by myself, I'm okay with the mediocre. I'm okay with being mid.
Right. It's like, why improve?
Yeah,
But
if
have
I'm already
you-
content with myself. Right
Have you
now.
ever tried to change your perspective and view it as, even when you're single? Because I think we all have motivators and we all have to find a reason why we want to be better, because ultimately
Yeah.
we are kind of doing stuff for everyone. Like, I want to be better for my friends, for my family. So for you, it's I want to be better for my current girlfriend relationship. And then you say when you're single, you lose that. But then
Yeah.
is there a way to change your thinking so when you are single, you can tell yourself, I want to be as good as possible when I do meet my next potential partner.
Oh yeah.
And so if you change your thinking, would that be able to motivate you to keep doing good and improving yourself even if you're single?
Probably. You can always change your perspective. You can always change the way that you think. I think because of the way I grew up, that's the reason why it's a lot easier for me to think the way that I did or do currently.
Do you have any intentions on changing it?
I always like when it comes to like schoolwork, I'm like, yeah, no, I gotta stay on top of it next semester. And then I never like get to it, and then I follow this cycle where like I do good in the beginning, then I start to fall off like near the end. And then I say the same thing. I'm gonna do better for the next one. And then do good in the beginning and then
Right.
fall off.
Okay.
And you could like apply that to like anything else, I think.
Yeah.
Or for the most part. I'm not saying like every aspect of my life is like dependent on my partner. But when it comes to like success, I think that's when it does.
Interesting. Okay.
Wait, I have a question. You said you're like content with yourself right now, so you don't try to like, grow in the aspect that you were talking about with like success and like professional growth or whatever. But when you're in a relationship, you're not content with yourself.
Yeah, it changes. Just because like the end goal for me is to be like successful with my partner. Do you know what I mean? Like have a nice life, have a happy life, go on like vacations. Really like be that couple, you know what I mean?
That
You know,
couple, yeah.
The power couple.
Yeah, I can't really be that if it's just me.
Look
you
at
know?
Mark go. Him and his girl are just
Yeah,
always on top of
exactly.
it. Okay.
Yeah,
That makes
I
sense.
know it's not like no. I know it's not good.
To what?
Unhealthy.
What specifically?
I can't. I'm not doing that when I'm like on my own. When I'm outside a relationship.
Okay. I agree.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
It's an active effort to change your thinking.
It's a conscious. It's just a lot easier when I'm in a relationship.
Of course.
I think
Because
that's
of the
thing. It's
support.
just- yeah. Oh my God, bestie. It's the support. The support really helps.
What about friends? Are you getting that from friends? Do they ever push you to be better, or like, do you want them to if they don't?
I think I do. No, I do definitely have friends that support me, push me.
Mm-hmm.
It just helps a lot more because of my like what's the word I'm looking for? Inner feeling to provide.
Okay, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna be like that like with friends. Like, oh, let me take care of you.
Mm.
Oh, I'm gonna do this because I want to take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like that with friends.
Okay.
But with like my girlfriend, I'm gonna do this because I want to take care of you.
Okay.
That makes more sense to me.
Do you think about that for like family?
Family. No, I know. It's like truthfully, no, I don't think so.
How come? Maybe that's a whole nother issue, but
yeah, possibly. I don't have like the best relationship with my family, and I guess that's why it never really came into the picture. Yeah.
I think it's ever like maybe you feel like they didn't take care of you, so you don't feel the need to take care of them.
Well, yeah, I think so.
Hmm.
I've had struggles with that where I felt like they didn't. Well, obviously they did take care of me. You know, they supplied or they paid for the bills for the house, but at the time, I thought that they didn't,
Okay.
and subconsciously that could probably be the reason why I don't think of them in the same way as I would with a romantic partner.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I like that perspective in general of just. I think a lot of people are like that. I don't think it's like that uncommon of a thing to not be able to push yourself
think
unless
so.
it's someone there.
Yeah, I mean, when I picture the perfect person, I picture them with a healthy, strong relationship with their family.
Mm.
But that's not the case, right? Like every time.
Right. Okay. Interesting. What about you two?
I feel like I do the most growth by myself or with friends. I feel like relationships are my last thing that I like tend to worry about or like that affect or hinder my growth. But yeah, I mean, like for a long time I was by myself. I mean, friends, of course, but like I wasn't necessarily reliant on a person to like push me to do better or whatever. I mean, I think my family plays a big part in my motivation of like wanting to do better and just not wanting to be like them in certain ways. So I think that pushes me at times, but for the most part, it's usually just myself. I think I value more my community and friendships than I do in relationships. Just because I know that relationships, I mean, naturally, they just come and go. You know, it's like, it's a fleeting thing. And they're beautiful, don't get me wrong. But like, you know, you can't necessarily rely on it. But with friends, I feel like, for the most part, I feel like I have lifelong friends. And so it's nice to be able to just grow with them together. But yeah, I don't know. When I'm in a relationship, I don't necessarily like go out of my way to like do my work or something like that. Yeah, I feel like
why do you think they hinder you?
Relationships?
Mm-hmm. And your personal growth.
I think in certain aspects, yes.
Like what?
Because you don't have that time for yourself. You know, it's like you could be exploring and doing whatever you want and seeing, you know, just where life would take you if you were single. But I think right now it's doing a lot more growth for me than hindering me. And that's just, I mean, it is my first relationship too, but I'm just learning a lot about myself and like about trust and learning to let down my defenses, you know, instead of just having to be guarded all the time and stuff. But
okay.
Yeah,
But
I do most of my growth with friends.
With friends, not alone.
I feel like it's pretty equal.
Pretty equal.
Maybe a little bit more alone.
You prefer that?
Yes.
Why?
Because I don't have like anybody to, I don't know. I sort of like not having to rely on anybody for like my needs or necessities or my growth or whatever. But of course I love my friends. Like I think growing with them is beautiful, you know, especially like, for example, Thomas and I, like, we've known each other since elementary school. So that's like, it's crazy to see. But I think when I'm by myself, I don't have to worry about like, what are other people going to think, or like, how should I act? Should I say something? I can just like fully let myself be, you know, without having to worry about anything.
Do you know what your motivation is? Why do you choose to grow?
I think the main goal is to just eventually be able to give back to like my family and stuff.
That's what really pushes you.
Yeah.
I'm definitely more of an independent person, I would say. Like, I would never, like, one of my rules is I would never want to rely on someone else for my motivation. Like, I've become, what is the word? I've become very determined to find motivation within myself so that I can give back to my family, mostly, and my close friends. Like, I'd rather grow with my friends than in a relationship, to be honest. Even though I'm not in many relationships, the one time that I just found it like annoying having to spend most of my time trying to figure out the relationship than my own problems.
Do you think you'd be able to focus on both at once, or does that seem overwhelming?
For me, it seems overwhelming because there's so many things I still need to figure out with myself that trying to figure out another person would be like way too much.
Because then you just bring those problems into that relationship, you know?
Yeah.
I am curious, though, because I understand what you're saying about, it's like, yeah, you still have stuff to figure out yourself. But then, isn't that always going to be the case? Like, no matter what age you are, you're always going to be growing. So you'll never, when do you think you'll have the energy to focus on both?
So I feel like when you're young and you haven't even like finished your education or like really found any success yet, getting into like a relationship where like you're planning to make it at least somewhat long term, it's just really hard because you haven't even figured out like anything basic yet with what you want to do with your life. Like obviously emotions too are things I would want to figure out. But there's like a certain point that I want to reach of maturity before I get like in a relationship. I just feel like I'll know when I'm ready. There's like a certain point where you just know. Like obviously I don't have to have everything figured out yet, but
Could you get a little closer when
I know.
you speak? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think your first relationship will teach you the most about yourself. Like you're gonna do so much growth during that because you learn what you like, what you don't like, what you like to see yourself in the future and stuff. But I do agree that I think a lot of people don't take care of their own issues, like their personal issues, and they bring it into the relationship. And I know so much pain that like comes out of that, which is like could be a good thing because you learn from that pain, and that's always good. But if you're not giving yourself the time to resolve that and like learn from that relationship and just blindly go into another one, not really, you know, reflecting on what was wrong with you, what was wrong with them, then I think you're just gonna hinder your growth. Like you're gonna not actually change, and I see that in so many people. And it's just important to give yourself time. That's why I'm like a big advocate on like you should be single after being in your first relationship. Like after that, go ahead, but
Yeah.
you need time.
So, and then to you, what does it mean to feel ready, Isaac? Do you have any idea of what you might be looking for, or what you might feel in the moment?
so once I'm like I feel fulfilled with myself and at least proud of myself, then I will.
So is it a lot of just being secure in yourself to feel like
Yeah.
you have something worthy to offer?
Yeah, because if I were in a relationship, I would want to like give them my most secure self. If I wasn't ready, I just feel like there'd be no point in the relationship pretty much. I'd just be bringing like a lot of issues. And in turn, they could too as well. I feel like that's why a lot of people like to grow with their partner. But personally, not for me, because I just don't want to be reliant on someone for my own growth. I just feel like growing on myself is so important. And that's why I'm like such an advocate for people growing on their own.
That's interesting. Yeah, I totally get about not being your most secure self. Do you ever feel a pressure to be as perfect as possible before being able to accept love from other people, whether that's friends or relationships?
When it comes to relationships, yeah, for sure. That's like I'm not really the type to go out and try to pursue them. But with friends, not really. I like being imperfect with my friends and growing with my friends. They're somewhat of my motivation so that like when I grow up, I can give back to them as well. I feel like it's really good to get motivation from people in your life. Like not it doesn't have to be growth, but just motivation to succeed. I think that's really good.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's a conscious effort, I guess, to grow. Pushing yourself to grow. Where do you find that motivation? Is it just you just want to, like, when you think about I want to grow, is what's going on in your mind like I want to grow just for myself completely because I want to be better, or I want to reach a point where I feel like I can actually accept other people into my life?
So like this past year before that, I didn't really know like like the respect I had for myself. This past year where I've been like really alone, I've kind of grown a respect for myself, and I just want to grow for myself. Like usually I would have a little bit of respect for myself, and I wouldn't really like. I feel like that's why a lot of people are like lazy, don't really want to do things, because it's like if there's not someone else there to see, then like there's really no reason to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So really, just for myself. I just want to be proud of myself.
That's interesting.
I liked what you said about there's no if there's no if there's no person to see, there's no any reason to do it. I think that's what happens to me. I think the main part is like accountability. When you're like by yourself, it's definitely a lot harder, I think, to keep yourself accountable to do the things that you want to do, or to do things that help you grow, because it do get uncomfortable. But when a person is there, it's not just you that has to keep you accountable. There's also another person that can keep you accountable as well.
Yeah, I definitely catch myself like not wanting to do something, but then when someone's there, like I want to do it.
Yeah.
It still happens to me. I'm just trying to
like
improve.
brushing your teeth.
Yeah. Oh no, brushing my teeth. I always
No. For longer. You know when you like.
Oh, it's like like washing your hands for a little longer.
Oh yeah.
That pressure. Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, brush my teeth, y'all.
No, but yes, I don't know why it happened. I think it's just like a natural reaction to want to try harder when there's like other people around.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. That's why I think community growth and like having people around you is so important. And it doesn't have to be alone.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I
it's
agree.
possible.
But I think most of the time they don't do it for the right reasons. You're not doing it for yourself now. You're doing it for all these other people, and I don't think that's necessarily like a bad thing, but it usually is a bad thing, because as soon as that person is gone, now what? You're gonna stay the same person with the same bad habits.
No, I get you, and I agree with that. I think there's a fine balance between doing it as a group, but also reminding yourself this is just a little push, but after they let go, it's still on me to keep pushing myself slowly. And I think a lot of people swear like, oh, I need like help, I want to be helped by others, but then once they disappear, they just fall. And that's when it gets kind of dangerous. I mean, for me, I think what you said about when you're alone and versus others, and when you're others, you obviously want to push yourself a little harder. What has really helped me not fall into that trap is just talking to myself, having, me, the physical me, and then the me inside my head. And to me, I see it as two different people. So it's always like there's someone watching me, or like watching what I do, which is, I guess, is just my conscious, right? And I think that's talking to myself helps me kind of unlock or whatever that that little voice that's like, okay, like what are you doing right now? Like what are we doing? Like I use it, like what are we doing? Because it's like my physical body is, I just see myself laying down and not doing anything, but in my mind, like it's like I could see myself, so I'm like, what are we doing? Like what's going on? And then I have to like explain to myself why we're doing that. And that has to me really helped push me even when I'm alone. I think to me that was the key to discipline, is being able to talk to myself, because the pressure is just the other me watching and my conscious watching.
Dude, I had like the same thing. Like earlier when I was saying, like I learned how to respect myself. It's when like that conscious told my body, like, come on, you got to do what you need to do.
Yeah.
That's exactly the same thing as ego.
Yeah, exactly. That really does help, like actually push yourself to grow. And then I think for me, my motivation has always, not even sure, because I do it for myself. I think I'm good at growing even if I don't have anyone around me, but I always crave the support of other people. I think it's maybe because I've been independent for so long that I've always had to like force myself to grow and figure things out, and never really learned to take help from other people, that whenever I do get that help, it feels so good that I like want to keep having that, and I enjoy it, which is I think why I like being in a relationship and growing with them, because I'm like just kind of bored of growing alone. Like sure, it's important to learn that, but I feel like I have learned it. I have the discipline to do things on my own simply because I know it's what's good for me, and not because someone's telling me to or someone's watching me do it. I guess I like see it in my head as making my life a game, and I'm kind of like, it's a character, like the same thing. There's a conscious and then there's me, the physical me, and the voice in my head is basically controlling the physical me and making sure I do all the right things. And so I think about it as playing like a video game in my head, and so I'm like, I need to optimize my character, quote unquote, and that's how I like visualize it, I guess. And that really pushes me, because I'm like, I get obsessed with just trying to make all parts of my aspect like fully just optimized, I suppose, if you really want to be fucking like nerdy, like leveling up and shit, like upgrading my character. Like I need to go to the gym because I want to have like I want to reach my peak in terms of stamina or muscle growth, and like I want to keep like reaching this new level, and so I have to keep doing this because that's where I want to reach. And I want to keep reading because I want to unlock like quote unquote even more knowledge, and I want to unlock all these learnings, and I want to keep growing. And so that what pushes me to keep growing, because I just gamify my life. Like life is just a game, and so I see it as like, I just want to, I don't know, it makes me want to keep going, just doing that. And so besides that, why else do I do it? I think for me the biggest motivator has been just because I want to, I don't know, I want to be the best, which also in turn means I want to be the best for myself. Like I want to be the best person that I can be for others, for my parents, for my relationships, for my friends. Like I've said this before, but the idea of having flaws is, I don't like that, because it like the first thing I think when I see a flaw is I have to fix it. Like I have to fix everything. So if I see something that I don't like, I obviously have to fix it. And so when friends or someone tells me I have a flaw, I really do think about it, because I don't like having flaws, so my ego gets hurt. And so if someone tells me like, hey, like I don't like when you do this, I'm like, oh my God, like I have to change that so they don't think like I have any flaws, which is good and bad. Because it's good because in a lot of ways it actually makes me capable of growth. And when someone critiques me or criticizes me, I don't just push them away and defend my ego and say I'm not doing anything wrong, like it's fine. I genuinely do try, and I obviously, not always, there's times where I do get defensive, but I at least try to remind myself, don't be defensive, don't have any ego, like just grow from it. Like, because eventually if you grow from it, then they won't be able to critique you in that way. So I guess in that way it pushes me. But in a bad way is that I think a lot of times I change myself for the wrong reasons, because somebody might say there's something wrong with me, and from their eyes there is, but in reality that just might be their perspective. And there's also the balance of changing for everyone, but also like knowing what I want to change and what I feel like I don't need to because I like that part of myself. Like sometimes there's parts of myself that I like, but someone might say, I don't like that about you. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I should change. So that gets, that could get not good. And so that's what I see growth. And when it comes to relationships, I think I love being able to grow with my friends and with my partner. I'm very much about, I want to help my partner grow as much as possible, and I want them to help me as much as possible. And with friends too, like I want to help them grow and I want them to help me grow. And so that community aspect has always been important. And that's why I don't feel like there's a big need for me to do this on my own. Because I'm like, I think there is good. I think for sure there's good. I'm not opposed to the fact that there's a lot of good that comes from being on my own for a long time and choosing to grow. But at the same time, it's like, I wonder what more I could be doing that I'm not doing now, or that isn't possible to do in a relationship. One of the things that I'm currently working on is reassuring myself. And sure, I could do that while not in a relationship, but recently I've noticed that I'm able to do it even while dating someone. And so that's why I'm more of I have done it alone. I do it even if they don't see me. And so I might as well enjoy the extra support that comes with actually being in a relationship.
Do you think you prefer growth in a relationship though, rather than friends?
The thing is, I think I do a lot of the growth alone. At least in my head, it feels like someone critiques me and then I just, take it in. But then I really think about it when I'm alone. And I don't know. It always feels like I'm doing all this growth alone, but there's people around me that I don't know. I feel like it's almost like in a relationship, for example, the role of them is not to help me grow. It's just to tell me what's wrong with me so I could fix it on my own, I think is how I view it.
So in the end, it's when you're in a relationship, that growth, it's more just you're still just working on yourself.
Yeah.
Or it's just growth by yourself.
Yeah. I think so far that's how it's been. Because since I'm young and the people I date are obviously young, a lot of them still don't have the energy to focus on helping someone else grow and also helping themselves grow. So to me, actually growing with someone is when they check up on you constantly. They're like, hey, have you, they remind you of it. And so that hasn't really been the case. It's more been when I say I'm growing with someone, it's they pointed something out, but I had to go on my own and fix it and remind myself to fix it.
I do prefer growing alone just because I have been in a relationship and I got into that relationship when I was the most insecure, depressed version of myself. And because of that, it kind of traumatized me. And now I'm worried to get into another relationship with not my best self and then ruin that relationship. So because of that, I think that's why I like growing alone, just because I'm not doing it for anyone else and I have to do it for me. Yeah, I mean, and my motivators, it's I just want to like myself. I just want to be able to look at myself from a third person point of view, see who that person is and be I really like who that person is.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I have to be my biggest motivator, because if I'm not, then I'm scared that I'll just fall back into that cycle, into needing validation from other people. And if I'm not with somebody else, then I will just, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah.
I think it's a really hard space to not fall into. It takes a lot of conscious effort, and I still fall into that sometimes, that I am looking for validation from them, and
I
You
mean,
know?
that's like the whole premise of a relationship, to be honest. Like, you're just both kind of doing things to validate each other, to get validation in some ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to some extent, I think. I
Yeah.
feel that when it comes to validation, there are times where I slip and I catch myself wanting their approval and feeling like if they don't do certain things, then it means like I'm not worthy. But I've been trying to make a more conscious effort now to reassure myself and love myself. And something that I think I have always looked for in relationships, and the reason that I enjoy them so much, is because I was in search of comfort, of someone telling me that you're doing the right thing, or that you are worthy of something, or that you're like a good person, or you had good intentions, or any sort of compliment about who you are and that you're growing and you're in the right direction. You're doing something right. Because I think to me it always felt like I was doing something wrong, and so a relationship provided a lot of that. But that's why I think the reason I always talked about feeling so alone or just so unsupported despite what anyone offered is because I never supported myself. And the most pure support truly just comes from yourself. And I think when I started going to therapy, in one of the sessions, it's, my therapist was talking about what it means to reassure yourself and love yourself and give yourself all of that support. And that's when it really clicked that the support I was looking for, that I thought I was going to find in a relationship or in friends or in my parents, like it wasn't there. It was actually the support that I needed to give myself. And because I never give myself any support and I'm always focusing on all the growth I have to do and all the ways I have to, improve myself and be better, that I never took time to acknowledge that I have already progressed a lot. So I have to celebrate myself. And a really interesting thing that my therapist had me do is to just give myself a big hug and just vocally out loud say that I love myself, that I'm proud of myself. And I didn't realize how much that's when it really clicked about how much I needed that, because like I had to fight the urge to not just like start breaking down, because it feels like, how I said earlier that I have two versions, there's like my physical self and then the conscious self. It always felt like the conscious self was never validating my physical self. And it was always like, you're not doing this though. Like you should be doing more. You need to grow more and you need to keep growing. But I never took time to stop and be like, you've done good. Like you're doing good. Like you should be proud of yourself for that. And I think ever since I discovered that, I have been making more conscious efforts to validate myself, to tell like myself that people's reflection, what people think of me isn't a reflection of me. It doesn't matter. Like truly, I can't control anyone. It's all up to me. If I choose to love myself, I will. And that has really helped. It really, really has helped a lot.
I found the concept of having two different versions of yourself interesting, like the your conscious self and then your physical self. I like sort of like always thought of that too. And I think a bad habit of mine when it pertains to like those two, when it pertains to that concept, is I used to think that my conscious self is the one that matters. You know what I mean? Like, let's say I know what to do. I have the right like intentions in mind. Like, yes, I'm gonna do this on this day or that day. I feel good, or I get like the satisfaction that I did the work in the conscious self. But when it came to like the physical self, it like never happened.
So it feels like
I already done my job when my conscious self knows what to do. And it's just about executing. That's where I really like don't care.
Like, you thought about it, so it's good you had the intention. Doesn't matter if you actually did or not. Like it's about
somewhat
intention.
like that. Yeah.
And that's what like prevents you from acting.
Yeah, I think so. For like a lot of things.
So like for example, if you're like
I like planning stuff out, like making like a gym routine. On Mondays I'm gonna do this. Tuesdays I'm gonna do this. Wednesdays I'm gonna do this. Thursday I'm gonna do this, Friday rest, something like that. Me putting the time to do that for the future, I find satisfaction out of that. I feel accomplished, like, oh yes, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. It's very organized. I'm very proud of myself. But when it actually comes to doing it, I like more than likely will like fall short out of it. I don't keep myself like consistent.
And you just say like, well, I tried. Like that's what matters. Is that what it is?
Somewhat. Like I don't get the same enjoyment as actually doing it,
Okay.
but just like the idea of doing it.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. Not related to the
I mean, it makes it
Yeah,
is.
I think it's who you want to be,
yeah.
but you have to actually like work towards it. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know what you want to become. You know the kind of person you want to be.
Yeah.
You just have to take the steps towards it, and that's always like the hard part.
Yeah. Thank you. I think that really solidified
Yeah. I think that's like what I've been struggling with a lot.
yeah.
Just like, I know who I want to be.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like who I am right now.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I haven't liked who I am. Does that make sense? I haven't really liked the person I am right now for a while. Like there's just so many little things that I feel like I've kind of like lost touch to, like within myself, and my personality and the kind of traits I have. I feel like they've all been skewed by like other people and like what they want to please other people, what my family wants. I feel like I've just been growing. I feel like I've been growing, but I've only grown for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like because of that, I have grown this almost like resentment towards myself that like I don't like who I am because I'm literally just whatever people want me to be.
Yeah.
And I think like I've just been really wanting to like run off somewhere and just really focus and delete social media and
Go off the grid.
yeah, I feel like that would be really good for me, but
Right.
you know what I mean?
It's also like I'll be running away from my problems, and then they'll follow me there.
Oh, true.
It's not necessarily running away from your problems. I think if anything in this case, it makes sense because my problem is other people. Like
Right.
my family and my friends and the people at school and my friend told me this, and it's just like performance anxiety. It could be a whole nother episode, but I'm gonna just get into it a little bit. Like I just always feel the need to perform, and because of that, I like physically I feel like I'm great. Like I'm a really outgoing person. I can keep a conversation going. I feel like I'm very likable. But I don't think I'm myself.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I'm
That's
likable because I'm trying to be likable. But I want to be myself and see who likes me and who doesn't.
Yeah.
And I just need to learn that like if someone doesn't like me, then it doesn't really matter. And that's why I want to just get off the grid, stop worrying about social media, and
Yeah.
yeah.
I get you. No, I totally understand what you're saying. I also think it's important to do it. I wonder if it's even more beneficial to do it while everyone's still here, because are you scared maybe?
Oh, I mean, it is, but I think I've grown up. Like my entire life has always been about other people. I think some time for myself would be good. Same thing with like, being in a relationship, being single. I think you need that balance where you take some time where you can learn to do this and learn to be that just by yourself.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
I understand that. I think I struggle with a little bit of that too, of who actually am I? I think a lot of young people do.
I mean, that's kind of like the whole premise of our lives. Like, who do I want to become,
we?
and who am I right now, and
Yeah.
where did I want to go?
It seems like there's so many people that I love, and I find it so inspiring when there's people that know what they like and what they don't like very clearly. They're like, I like bright colors. I like wearing bright colors. I don't like doing this. And that's what they do. They don't keep switching it up based on like what you see around them. Like they know what they enjoy, and they don't, and this is just an example using like fashion. They don't like trend sway them back and forth. And I think that's something I want to become in general, you know, like what are my real interests? Like what do I do truly because I enjoy and not because I'm like, oh, but that's a little easier if I enjoy this and such like that.
It's because of our egos. Like
Yeah.
we all want to be liked. Like we don't want anyone to hate us. And I think just navigating that is just such a long journey that most people don't figure out till like ever, really. Like especially right now when we're so young, but
Yeah, I think a lot of people,
that's what we're focusing on.
a lot of people just don't have the courage to be disliked, which I think leaves them stunted of a lot of growth. When I adopted the mentality of there's a tribe that's set for everyone. You're going to find your tribe. 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 And so am I. We're all going to eventually find it, but we're never going to find it if we keep swaying back and forth and going into this one and then this one and then this one. It's like, you'll always feel out of place. It's not until you tune into yourself, you remind yourself, not everyone has to like me. Like I just do whatever you want. Like it's such a weird mentality shift. And I think it's been really helpful for me just thinking about, you know, if I meet someone, so I feel the pressure to be like, oh, I should be a little more serious, or I should be a little bit more lighthearted and, you know, copy their mannerisms. But it just remind myself, if they like me for who I am, that's good. If they don't, nothing's going to come out of it. Like it doesn't matter. It truly doesn't. Like even social media, for example, it's who do I want to portray myself as? And I think what has really helped me is, this is just one outlet, but even just using Instagram as a way to express my interests. Like if I want to post a picture of something that I find really fascinating, I'm going to post it, even if it's like not considered aesthetic or no one likes it or it's not as interesting or it's boring. But even though it seems so simple, it's just having the mentality switch to post something that might not be liked by everyone.
Yeah.
And it's a nice reminder that I have control over what I can enjoy, and the opinions of others doesn't matter. And it's like, okay, I'm posting this on the internet as a way to show like, this is who I am, this is what I like, and I'm okay with people seeing that.
And that's how you build like strong habits too. Like
Strong
small little like habits compound and then they make a big change. Just because of like you said, just like a post that you did on Instagram.
It's just those little reminders. Like you don't have to start out big. It's even just like, I'm gonna post a story that I find funny, even though it's not like aesthetic or perfectly, you know.
Yeah, and that like bleeds into other like aspects.
It does. It really does. And also knowing there's no danger.
Yeah.
Sometimes something that like kind of helps me is like, the worst that will happen if I do this is I'll sweat because I'm nervous. Like sometimes I'll go talk to people or like, you know, do something that's very much the center of attention. Is like, what is the worst that's going to happen? I'm just going to sweat. Like when I post on Instagram, I know there's no immediate threat. There's no immediate danger. I'm not going to feel physical pain. No one's going to punch me. No one's going to hurt me. It's all mental. So it's okay to feel that. So being okay with feeling the embarrassment, the humiliation, getting anxious, and even I'm like sometimes I'll post a podcast, I'll post a clip of like me crying, for example, and I feel so embarrassed and I'm like sweating, but I just post it and then I let myself sweat and feel like really embarrassed. I see myself getting red and hot, but small steps like that, like I said, bleed into other aspects. They're like, okay, like it was fine, nothing happened.
Yeah, I just think it's so difficult when like you live your whole life thinking that way, like wanting to be liked.
That's why the support of people helps, you know. Like
so true, bestie.
Like if you, sorry to interrupt you, but like if you post something that's like embarrassing or just you wouldn't usually post it, and then have someone there to like I don't know, take your phone away, like physically force you to sit with that emotion and just feel it and then get through it and be like, okay, like it's gone now. Like, you know, sometimes that has helped me at least.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I know I can do it. I know I have it in me because there are like those spur of the moments where like I'll just post something because I like it, and then I'll like look back at it, I'm like, no, I shouldn't have posted that.
Why not?
Just because I'm like, oh, what if like this person doesn't like it? You know what I mean? Like it's like I even have like specific people in mind where like I post something, I'm like, I feel like they're not gonna like this one. So I'm just like very reluctant on posting, and it's just so stupid because it's Instagram and no one really remembers like anything you post. So it's all in my head, and I feel like once I get over the fact that not everybody has to fucking like me, I'm gonna like grow so much. I feel like I've grown in almost every other aspect, just not that. And I feel like that's the most important part is learning to be myself without worrying about what other people think.
It's very freeing.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. And I mean, are you guys there? Do you guys think you're there?
At the point of like not caring what other no. I don't think it's necessarily like as much as like how you feel, Thomas, but I definitely still care about what other people think to an extent. It's nerve-wracking, you know, like if we're taking on the example of like Instagram, for example, like posting a photo that you may like but you don't know if other people will like. I mean, it's nerve-wracking, you know. It's just like, how are they gonna perceive you now? Like, you know, like what if you run into them and then they just like think of you this certain way? But I definitely still struggle with like caring about what other people think. And for me, the solution to that is I just don't go on Instagram that often. Instead of like playing into it, I sort of just remove myself, which is, I mean, could be just as bad because I'm just like ignoring the problem. So it's definitely still something that I need to work on myself. So
For Instagram, I think I'm pretty good at that. Like I like post very quick. I don't really care. Yeah, but that's besides the point. In terms of like other stuff, it could definitely be a problem, but I don't think it's like a very, very big problem to my life like currently. I think reading the book, you know, The Courage to Be Disliked, the one that Gal showed me. I think you read it too, right, Kayla?
yeah.
Yeah, it really helped. Like, did a big like perspective change in my life. But like compared to my friends, I'm usually the one to like push them to do things that they're uncomfortable with. And there's like this thing that I've been trying to do lately is to like compliment somebody, like no matter what, just like find somebody and just compliment them. Doesn't matter if you like have a conversation after that or if you like talk after that or if you do. Just as long as I compliment them, it's gonna help in the long run. And that's like in terms of like having small talk with a person or like talk or going up to somebody. I've always had like anxiety. Anxiety about talking to people. Or like I just be like, I'll be very insecure when it comes to having a conversation with a person. So I feel like establishing that small little habit is gonna help beneficially.
Yeah, I think a lot of times I'm just so focused on saying the right things to people that I like nothing I say is actually meaningful. Yeah, I mean, not in that sense, but I think last year, when we were first at U.S.A, I mean, so much small talk, and it was like the most meaningless shit ever, and I was just saying whatever they needed to hear, and they were telling me whatever I needed to hear. It's just that kind of culture, and I feel like I kind of got sucked into that, and I feel like that happens at like almost every school. It's just you want to be liked by your peers, but the extent to how badly you want to be liked, I mean, that's where the problem goes, and that's what I'm trying to change right now.
I think in like real life situations like school and stuff, I'm more okay with being disliked, or just not even being disliked, just not being like neutral, you know. Like sometimes I catch myself like either saying something or just acting in a certain way, and like I noticed that like a person may not like be trying to make conversation with me or something, and I'm okay with that. Like in my mind I'm like, oh, like that hurts a little bit, but I just get over it really quickly because I just remember that, I mean, if they don't like me, then why do I want to talk to them? You know, it's like there's no point in it for me. So I think it's easier then, but sometimes I do notice that like Thomas, for example, like you're more outgoing and like you're more willing to like say what they want to hear and stuff like that. And sometimes I think like, should I do that? Like
It's gotten me places, but ultimately I think I do it too much to the point where like I need to just be myself first and see who likes me.
yeah.
Because I think what I really want is to make friends with people who are actually gonna like vibe with my personality instead of projecting a personality that's gonna be liked by everyone. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely difficult in school because, like you said, you know, you want to make so many friends, and it was our first year too.
And I think like the podcast doesn't help either because it kind of gave us this like following, and even though it's really not like crazy, it's like enough for people to kind of have this perspective of you. Like they already have this set image of what you're gonna be like. So when I do meet people and they have listened or like they know about the podcast, it already makes me like, now I have to like be a little better. I have to make sure like I don't ruin that image in their head. But
Well, does that mean you're not really yourself on this podcast and that's why you're scared? Or
I honestly, yeah, I mean, but I was gonna say in another podcast, but yeah, I don't know if I really am myself in the podcast. I feel like again, I'm saying whatever people like want to hear. Sometimes I say something and I see it on TikTok later. I'm like, huh. I mean, like, yeah, there's some truth to it, but I also think, you know, there was more to say than just like the basic thing that people wanted to hear. Not to say that I've never been myself on the podcast. I've been myself a lot of times. It's just, I think more recently, the past few months, I just feel like I haven't been my best authentic self. And I actually feel really bad about it for like everybody and me.
Me and Thomas are complete opposites. Like, I don't care if someone dislikes me at all. Like, to be honest, it's not necessarily a bad thing for me. If someone dislikes you, I mean, that's their own values that they're projecting. And it's just like being disliked sometimes. I don't know for any of you guys. I don't know why, but being disliked for something kind of motivates me, kind of encourages me. I don't really know why, but it's just like it's not really my problem.
Encourages you to do what, or like in what aspect?
Like, let's say someone dislikes that you do something, but you really like it. It'll just encourage me to do it more.
I think I do obviously want to be liked, but I'm very authentic, I think. I don't really put on an image for the most part. I truly am myself, which has led maybe to some awkward moments where people don't understand it and they're like, what are you doing? What are you saying? But I'm like, it's fine. Like, it's like sometimes I say something that I find funny. They might not find it funny. And it's like, everyone's like, why did you say that? And it's like, I don't know. I found it funny. Like, I had a good time saying it. It was great execution. They didn't find it funny. Like, I don't care. Like, whatever. If they, you know, it doesn't matter. It's just nothing matters. I mean, it really doesn't. And it inspires me to just be whoever I want, do whatever I want, because it's like that fear of rejection too, like going up to people and like asking them like, hey, can I have this? And they're like, no. I'm like, okay. Like, I asked. I don't know, just asking for things, having just a lot of audacity to be yourself has gotten me in a lot of good places. And I like to think that at least the people that are around me like me for who I am. And if they don't, I mean, it hurts sometimes when I know there's people that don't necessarily enjoy like who I am, and I like might want to be more like them. But I also realize, like, I don't know, I think it's gonna feel a lot better once you find people that just like you for yourself. So yeah, I mean, I do a lot of small things that helped me have courage to be myself, do things I don't want to do, and act however. So it's really in the little steps. Like it's the smallest steps. Like, yeah, it's the tiny things that make a difference.
Yeah, I agree.
I have a story.
What's your story?
Oh my god, it's funny. And
Is it related to
Yeah,
this?
yeah, it relates to this.
He just wanted to tell a story.
I know.
No.
Okay.
It
Just ends on a good note.
relates to this. It's just funny to me. So I was with this girl late at night, and then we were talking, and then we asked the question, "What are your red flags?" And like I already had an answer in my head. Like I know like my red flags. I know what's wrong with me. But like I like try my best to like say an answer that like dodges the answer that's in my head.
My red flag is I care too much.
Nah, not like that. I was like, or I even know like what how do I even get there? Basically, instead of saying where I can improve. Yeah, I think the question's like, oh, where do you think you can improve on? And obviously she was talking about it like in a relationship standpoint. But I was like, I feel like I can improve in school. I think if I could like try better in schoolwork and be more productive and put more effort, I think that's cool. And like not even like a second later she said, I know that's not what you're thinking.
She got
She got you like, out of school for sure. Like
not. She was like, actually no. Tell me like what
dig deeper.
What your actual answer was, and I was like spooked out. I was like, how the fuck did you know?
I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
Like, come on,
I thought I did a good job.
Everybody's gonna see that.
No,
Like,
literally no.
But it's related to this because I was afraid to be disliked in that moment. Like I felt like if I said the true answer in my head, which is like honesty, which is like ironic because I wasn't being honest to her. I feel like she wouldn't have talked to me like after that.
You wanted her to like you, so you had to hide who you
Exactly,
really are.
and I feel like I do that a lot. Yeah, I know. I lied to you.
He's a
I
liar.
don't have the courage to be disliked sometimes.
Right.
You know what that reminds me of is like
What?
when you're asked like, what's your biggest weakness, or like what's your red
Oh my
flag or
God.
something, and
Yeah.
people say something that like is basically a good thing. It's like, I work too hard, or like I don't ask for help. It's like, come on now, give me something like bad, something awful about yourself,
Yeah. Yeah.
so bad.
because that's what I would do sometimes. I just like be like, I think I like just care too much about what other people think, and like that's not even like that bad. I'm gonna say something bad next time. I'm gonna be like, I'm a horrible person, and see where that goes.
Literally, yeah. That would be refreshing. Like, yeah. That's good. See, these are examples, guys. Whenever someone asks you about your red flags, like list them all out.
No, really.
The real one.
I think people respect that even more.
No,
They're
they do.
Okay, like you're aware. Like
No,
I'm just
because
glad.
like later down in that conversation, she did not hesitate to like tell me her red flags and like what she did in her past relationship, and that like encouraged me to be more honest, to be more honest with like the girls that I would be talking to in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Cause you know I have like this bad habit. Oh, see, now I'm afraid to say it, but I have this bad habit of leading people on because I can't say what I'm actually thinking. Do you know what I mean? Like I can't just like cut things off.
Oh,
I get
right.
lost in the sauce.
Yeah. No, you get.
I
get
can't
lost in the sauce.
I can't break things off.
I mean, that is hard. But that's the thing. You have to recognize it. That's the
Yeah.
thing that most people struggle with. Just swearing they're not doing anything wrong, having that ego there. And like even right now, like if you might have lied to yourself and not said it because you don't want to confront it, and it's a lot easier to just do that than actually have to work on it.
And that's one way you can grow.
That's literally the best way to grow. Admit what you do wrong.
Exactly.
So don't be like, well, you do this too, or you do that too. It's like, okay, like what do you do wrong? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about you do wrong and improve on it. Like that's it. It's all it is. It's okay. It's okay to grow. It's okay to feel like you're not doing enough or you're a bad person, but if you're
Yeah,
growing
yeah, yeah.
from
You're
it,
not a bad person.
yeah. And if you feel like you are,
Yeah.
then grow. You don't have to stay like that.
So true, bestie.
Anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope you got something out of it.
All about growth and ego.
Yeah. No more ego, guys. Please grow.
Yeah.
Go to therapy if you can. Thank you for listening. If you're new here, I hope you liked this episode. Follow us on our socials at Teenager Therapy everywhere. And then every Sunday we do our Spotify Live. You could join through the Spotify app or the Spotify Live app if you download it. It's every Sunday at 6 p.m. PST. We always talk with all of you. So thank you for listening. Remind yourself it's okay to grow. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.